Well, if only it could all be as good as what went down yesterday in Milan. Welcome in. Welcome to 90 ESPN Radio. Nuanez Now. Appreciate you for hanging out with us. I'm Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran-owned, and the only Bears that should be in your garbage. Plenty to get to today. The Big Sky Conference tournament for college hoops is right around the corner. We have one weekend left of the regular season, Thursday, Saturday, and then Monday. And then everybody gets a week off, and then we're off and running in Boise, Idaho. Unfortunately for basketball fans around the state of Montana, only one of the teams in the state right now is surging, and the other three are floundering. That's not good. How do they figure it out? We'll discuss that plenty here in hour number one. Hour number two, the storyline that never ends, but I just feel like it's so compelling that we're going to hear from a lot of our normal contributors on this. I recorded a podcast over the weekend with Ryan Tutel, former co-host of this show, and I thought it was very insightful, so I decided to play about a portion of that podcast here on this radio show, so that'll be the top of the 5 o'clock hour. And also, on the positive side of things, we're cranking it up on the prep side. District tournaments of Class C happened this last weekend. Divisional tournaments are coming up for AA, A1. No more AA, excuse me. I misspoke. They did divisional tournaments, and then they removed divisional tournaments. They keep changing it back and forth. It's enough to break a guy's brain, but there is divisionals coming up for A and B and C as well. And the Frontier Conference tournaments are this weekend as well. So plenty of postseason hoops this weekend, and then next weekend, and then the weekend after that as well, because that's when state happens. The state tournaments for high school basketball. We will cover the Big Sky Tournament Championship game on March 11th. Then we'll be back on March 12th, and the Class C tournament here in Missoula will be underway, as will all the other state tournaments from around the rest of AA, A, and B, both boys and girls. So it's that time of year. So plenty of fun stuff. We'll give you a recap of what went down at state wrestling over the weekend in Billings, as well as some high school hoop scores from the district tournaments and from the end of the regular season for AA as well. And whatever else we can get into, we certainly will. But we start with what was an unbelievable crescendo to the Olympics. I love when the team sport that is the most prominent of that season is the thing that is sort of like the highlighted event, and that was the case with men's hockey. The gold medal game was yesterday. It started at 6 o'clock in the morning. I know for a lot of people that's early. It was so funny because we looked it up. We were saying, oh, they're going to replay it at 2:30, so maybe we should just like skip it, not follow on the internet, and just wait till 2:30. And I was like, what do you mean? We have a 2-year-old. He's waking up at 7. So even if we sleep right till when he sleeps, he's up, and maybe we missed the first part of the first period or whatever. So that was the case. Actually, my son slept in a little bit on Sunday, but either way, we were still up bright and early and watching it. Making some breakfast, eating some waffles, and it was fun to take it all in. And what a contest! I mean, are you talking about the back and forths? I mean, truly unbelievable. I mean, it was an instant classic, all-time great, and it came down to the wire. It went to overtime, and then when it's all said and done, when the dust settles, just an unbelievable golden goal, and America wins, beats Canada. First gold medal in hockey since 1980, since the Miracle on Ice. So it just so cool, so fun. And when I lead with, why can't it all be like this? I was really thinking about that. We love sports. That's the biggest understatement of the century, right? But we love sports that mean something. And we live in a world now where you have access to almost every single game or contest of meaning. You also have access to all the other games and contests. I never want to demean the meaning or relevance of any competitive pursuit, because I think that competition and the things that you learn from competition are essential to the honing of human nature. But if you are a sports fan that's so into it that you can have access to any and every time that there's a big game, you can pretty much make your calendar around like viewing opportunities where you get something of high relevancy. That's great. It also makes all the rest of it harder to follow, right? Like when you're sitting at when I'm sitting at a Thursday evening in the middle of January, Big Sky Conference men's basketball game, you're sitting there thinking, well, what does this actually mean? Certainly the result of the game will be impacting the standings, but the magnitude just utterly and unequivocally pales in comparison to the drama and the emotion and all of that happens in a game like we saw yesterday between the United States and Canada. And honestly, it becomes addicting. If you got what we got yesterday every single time you watch sports, though, would it be as cool? Like, would it be as special? I'm not sure. But the emotion that was behind that whole game, the way that Connor Hellebuyck played in the goal, that's one of the great goaltending performances you will ever see, ever in the history of the sport. Unreal. I mean, he stopped 41 out of 42 shots. They were absolutely locked. I mean, Canada was assaulting the goal. And Hellebuyck was, masterful. Unbelievable to watch him between the goalposts. And then it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I did not realize that international overtime is 3-on-3. That's a whole new deal. We need 3-on-3 hockey stat. Like I would watch, I like watching hockey anyways, but you give me 3-on-3 hockey, whoa. Like the level of speed and the level of these guys are just assaulting the goal, crazy. The back and forth, the way that the line changes have to work when you have less guys on the ice, it was pretty crazy. And then this all comes to a peak when Jack Hughes just hammers one. Bottom left-hand corner, gets it right past the Canadian goalie. If you haven't seen the celebration of the United States bench, this is one of the great celebrations as well that you will ever see. I mean, just the pure pandemonium and just the unadulterated, unfiltered emotion of that moment was, I mean, it's what you dream about, right? Like the cliche is they could make a movie about it. They're probably going to make a movie about this one because it was a generation in the making, and then the emotion continues, right? Like they show Jack Hughes with his brother, and they show his parents, and then they start parading around Johnny Hockey's jersey. If you haven't followed this, Johnny Gaudreau, he died in a car accident a couple years ago, 2024, and he was supposed to be on that team, but they had his jersey. His family was there. It's unbelievable. Then they show the Canadians, and they're just in a puddle. They're crushed. The agony and the ecstasy. It's what we love. It's what we love about sports. And, again, I don't want that level of emotion and meaning and patriotism and symbolism and all these things. I don't want that every single time I turn on a sporting event because then we'd become numb to it, right? It wouldn't be as special. But I would like a little bit more of the passion that these guys play with when we're, like if I knew I could turn on like a Tampa Bay Lightning New York Rangers game on Friday and I could even see a little bit of the emotion and spirit behind it. Like I'm a big NBA guy. Right now the NBA is just dead in the water. Everybody's load managing. Half the teams are tanking. You turn on a game, it's like a 75% chance that you turn on a game to see a certain superstar, and everybody has a superstar now. That's what should make the NBA so great. But like, there's a 75% chance to turn it on, and one of the two superstars is supposed to be in the game, or both are out. That's not great. I think there's a little bit more passion behind regular season hockey, but it's still not even close to what we saw yesterday. But also, like, you're just never going to – I mean, the skill level on the ice yesterday is just unparalleled. And it's a great testament to all the different steps that America had to take to the – that like the 2010 team that lost the heartbreaker in the gold medal game to Canada when Sidney Crosby had the golden goal. Like, from there to now, so many of these guys on Team USA, they were kids when that happened. So they saw that, and they sort of used that as like a spark, as a fuel to get America back to the top, to get America a gold medal. And I just thought it was pure cinema. I thought it was unbelievable to follow along and watch. Nuanez Now 109 ESPN Radio. If you missed it, what an awesome gold medal game between the United States and Canada yesterday, which was basically the peak of the Olympics. And what a performance by the Americans. The United States is used to absolutely cleaning up in the Summer Olympics. I think last Summer Olympics we won something like 70 gold medals. Well, this time around in the Winter Olympics, we have a couple sports that we are really good at, but we are not the dominant country. But the United States had one of the great Winter Olympics that we've ever had, capturing 12 gold medals. That's the most ever. And it stretched across a variety of different events: alpine skiing, freestyle events, speed skating, figure skating, bobsled, both men's and women's hockey. Pretty cool. So here's a look quickly at, now that the Olympics are in the books, that of the 12 gold medals that the United States was able to win. Breezy Johnson won in the women's downhill. That was pretty cool to see. And it was early on. It was sort of a tone setter for Team USA. Then the United States won in team figure skating, that's not an easy one to win because there's so many great, Europeans, Russians, Chinese, Japanese, so many great figure skaters. Period. So that was sort of a big boost. But as I read, it was considered an upset at first. But then as it sort of went on, it was maybe more of a statement than it was an upset. And another sort of tone setter early on. Then Elizabeth Lemley, she won in the women's moguls. And that's not that surprising. We've been very good in that event for a long time. Jordan Stoltz did the double dip. He won in the 1,000-meter speed skating and the 500-meter speed skating. He's certainly one of the stars coming out of this Olympics with the double gold. Elena Myers-Taylor won in the women's monobob. Michaela Schifrin, who's been a familiar face, she got herself another gold medal in the women's slalom. Women's ice hockey, of course, they had the golden goal in overtime as well. So how about that? How about the fact that the United States beat Canada in both women's and men's hockey, both of them in overtime, both of them on golden goals. Talk about heartbreak for the Canadians, but great job by United States. Alyssa Liu won in women's figure skating individually. Alex Ferreira won the men's ski half pipe. The mixed team aerials ski team, they won a gold medal on Sunday morning. And then men's ice hockey got it. So the 12 gold medals represents more than victories. Certainly it was a record-setting Olympics for the Americans, and it's a new standard they're set there in Milan. So it's crazy that the Olympics roll around every 2 years, and then it seems like they're gone forever, but then back so soon. It's really an interesting unveil. And then when they start, then all of a sudden it's like they're over. But it was fun following along and fun watching, and certainly a nice little change of pace in the winter sports world when the Winter Olympics do roll around. Nuanez Now 109 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. I'm Colter Nuanez, coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal has one bin recycling. If you'd like to add the service or switch your service, call 406-541-7171. That's 406-541-7171. Grizzly Disposal, the only Bears that should be in your garbage. Big Sky scoreboard for over the weekend. We'll start on the men's side. In Portland, Eastern Washington goes on the road and beats up on Portland State, 67-55. Eastern is, I think, unquestionably the hottest team in the league. They won 6 in a row. It's them or Northern Colorado, right? Eastern has gone from a 2-13 start so far this year to winning 6 in a row. They sit alone. They sit in a tie for, I was going to say alone in third place, a tie for second place with Montana State, because The Bobcats got absolutely drilled in Pocatello. Raheem Seabrook and I talked Friday debating whether the Grizz loss at Idaho State on Thursday was the worst loss of the Travis DeCuire era. Well, maybe we need to walk it back a little bit because Idaho State ripped Montana State on Saturday too. So all of a sudden the Bengals are a contender. They were on a 9-game losing streak, entering this weekend. Then Idaho State drills Montana, and then they rip Montana State 91-76. How about Gus Etchison? I never heard of this guy until this weekend. Literally, haven't heard of him. It's like the 8th guy for Idaho State, averaging 6 points per game coming in this weekend. The former NAIA transfer, he goes for 29 against the Grizz, completely lights them up in the second half, and then he goes straight nuclear on Saturday against Montana State. 36 for Gus Etchison, the highest scoring total in the league this year. He did it coming off the bench. The guy was all over the place. He was 15 of 25 from the floor. Crazy to watch him absolutely cook everybody the last couple of days. And then you're sitting there wondering, all right, well, first of all, Idaho State found something. If there's something they can lean into, this guy might be able to carry them, and they might actually be able to make noise in March. But also you sit there and think, well, why'd you wait till now? Where's this guy been? Like, you're telling me Idaho State's got a guy that could go out the bench and score 36, and he's just been chilling? I don't know, man. It's a weird deal, but he found it, and he found something, and good for him. Northern Colorado, they stayed red hot as well. They've won 7 in a row now after they beat Northern Arizona 78-77. Idaho goes on the road, and they beat Sac State 86-80. If you didn't see this, this is hilarious. I actually don't know what I think about this. Well, first of all, from a personal standpoint, I think it's absolutely comical. From a decorum standpoint, I don't know. So everybody in the league, everybody in college sports now, they have their media teams, right? And they're all putting out graphics and box scores, et cetera, et cetera. So when Idaho posted the final from this Idaho-Sac State game, it said Idaho 86, last chance U 80. This obviously it instantly went viral. Idaho calling Sac State last chance U. There's obviously some complaints. I don't know if that came down from the league or just from Sac State or what. But Idaho ended up taking it down. But I thought it was pretty funny. Then on Saturday night, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, Grizz suffered an embarrassing loss at Pocatello on Thursday. Can't lose the last place Idaho State. Doesn't matter if you're on the road, can't do it. But I'm thinking, okay, if this Grizz team has any vigor, if they got some pride, they're going to bounce back, right? They're going to bounce back, and it's going to be a great game against Weber, or they're going to go win at Weber, right? I mean, the team that showed up was lifeless. Weber absolutely smacked Montana. I mean, they almost doubled them up on the boards. Weber shot 60%. It was just an offensive clinic. Weber looked phenomenal, and Montana looked dead in the water. And that's pretty crazy to see, especially as we come down the stretch. Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio will give you the women's results from this weekend, but we do have a conference champion, even though Portland State lost, because Montana State and Weber State both lost as well. Because Montana State and Montana both lost as well. Portland State, the outright champion, they are 3 games ahead of everybody with 3 games left to play. They're 12-3 right now as we come down the stretch. They still have to come through Montana. I was really hoping that those games would have championship ramifications, at least for one side of the equation, but not so fast. The regular season title, at least a share of it, goes to Portland State. Montana State and Eastern Washington are tied in second at 9-6. Weber State, Northern Colorado are sitting there tied at 9-7. Montana is 8-7. Idaho is 7-8. Sac State is 5-10. Idaho State is 5-11, and Northern Arizona is 4-11, pulling up the rear. On the women's side of things, here's your Big Sky scoreboard from over the weekend. The Montana State women, the only team from the state of Montana that won. All 3 other teams lost. Grizz have now lost 3 in a row, by the way. Cats have lost 2 in a row, and the Lady Grizz have lost 6 in a row. Yikes. Montana State's women did emerge from a slugfest with Idaho State 67-61, so that's redemption for the Bobcat women. One of their 2 league losses came in Pocatello earlier this year. Northern Colorado's women continue to roll. They beat Northern Arizona 81-53. Weber State, just the 5th time ever they've come to Missoula and won. They beat Montana in overtime 86-79. It's a terrible loss for Lady Grizz, period. There's no other way to slice it. Lady Grizz are certainly a team that's in the midst of a huge transition, and they are young. They only have 1 senior. They are lacking a lot of talent. I think that's just straight up the way that you have to say it. That's just the honest truth. None of that matters. You can't lose to Weber at home. You can't. Straight up, you can't do it. Again, they've only won in Missoula 4 times previously. They also have 2 wins. I mean, I shouldn't laugh, but it's like, what are we even doing here? You have to win that game. You just have to. You have to win on senior day at Dahlberg Arena against the worst team in the conference. You have to win that game. More on that in just a little while. Idaho's women kept on rolling. They beat Sac State 75-60, and Eastern Washington's women, they get one against Portland State 87-78. So as we come down the stretch here, the league championship is still up for grabs, but Montana State is going to need some help. Idaho 14-1 in conference play. Montana State is 13-2. Northern Colorado is alone in third at 11-4. Idaho State kept pace by winning in Missoula on Thursday, but then drops the one in Bozeman Saturday. But they sit at 11-5. Eastern Washington, Sac State, and Northern Arizona are tied for 5th at 6-9. Montana, is in 8th. But Weber State's in 9th, and Portland State now pulling up the rear. So Weber moves out of the basement with their win in Missoula. Who's surging right now as the conference tournament is just now a little bit more than 2 weeks away? Certainly Idaho's women, they've been a revelation. That's been one of the surprises of the season. I thought they would be solid. I did not know they'd be this good. I didn't think anybody was going to touch Montana State's women this year, but Idaho has. I mean, they beat them in Moscow, and that gave them the 1-game lead. Although when they played in Bozeman, Montana State ripped Idaho to shreds. So we'll see. If they play in the conference tournament, that's going to be a heck of a rubber match. But Idaho's women certainly surging. Northern Colorado's women are surging as well. I'll be interested to see if they're a threat come tournament time. And the Bobcat women, despite their loss, they've lost the 2 conference games, respectively, to the 2 Idaho schools on their home courts. But they've been able to steer the ship other than that. They've had hardly any hiccups, and a team without a senior, they've been very good so far. On the men's side, Eastern Washington is definitely the team that's surging. Portland State got out to a great start, but they've been sort of up and down lately. But it's Eastern Washington, it's Northern Colorado, and all of a sudden, it's Idaho State. Those are the 3 that have the needle pointing up. Portland State's needle is teetering. It could go up or down. Depends on how they're doing going in the conference tournament. They might have already secured the conference title, or at least a share of it. They got to play well as they come through Montana this week. They're in Bozeman Thursday, and then in Missoula on Saturday. They need to play well to take some momentum into the tournament. The Montana men, I mean, they got to find it, man. Like you can talk about your weaknesses as a team, and some of those things it's too late to work on or fix right now. But you got to find some heart and some pride and some soul. Like losing to the Cats is one thing, but that's a rivalry game that's filled with emotion, and the Cats are just a better overall team than Montana is this year. You can't lose to Idaho State and then turn around and play like you did against Weber. That's just unacceptable. You just can't do it. Like if you're a championship-level program, okay, you get swept. It's not fine, but it is what it is. But you can't show up completely lifeless and listless like they did in Ogden. It's just bad. It's just straight-up bad. And then you wonder, like, what's going on? Like, how can you not have more? At that exact moment, you were still in the mix, and you still are in the mix. You got to find some. You got to find some pride. You got to play well down the stretch. Montana State's men, they're just completely short-handed right now. They're playing hard, but they just don't have enough dudes. It's a 6-man team right now. But also, you can't go and lose to Pocatello either. I mean, again, Gus Etcherson was a revelation. That Idaho State found something there, and maybe that's the jolt that they needed, and maybe they do surge down the stretch. Ryan Looney's a great coach, but You can't be going and losing to the. I mean, if you're the Montana Schools, you can't let the last place team in the league sweep you. It's just as simple as that. Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio. I don't even know what to say about the Lady Grizz. I think that they've been preaching that they wanted to get to Boise and try to go on another run. But I just don't know if you can fix what's broken with the Lady Grizz until this season's over. I think you got to navigate it the best you can, and then when it comes time that it's over, you got to turn the page. I think you got to do a roster overhaul. I think you got to do a lot of overhauls within the program. I think that you're going to have an opportunity to have a different identity as a team with Matt Koenig graduating. And I think she was recruited by a different coaching staff for a different system than what she's currently running. And I think that's just going to be – I think she has a chance to go play overseas. I think she's a really good player individually. I think her style actually suits the professional game, maybe better than the Division I college game. But I just think you're going to just having a fresh start from a point guard position is going to be fresh for the Lady Grizz. And I just think you gotta just turn the page and you gotta just flush this. So we'll see where they turn, but certainly a road trip coming up and then a weird Monday home game as a season finale, and then that's it for the regular season for the Big Sky Conference. Nuanez Now ESPN Radio. Watched a lot of not great basketball this weekend. All I got to say is thank goodness for the Montana State women, because they were the ones that carried the day. They drilled Weber on Thursday like you're supposed to, and then they emerged from a really well-played game on Saturday in Bozeman. We will talk more about the Bobcats and what gives them a fighting chance, both in the postseason and maybe even in the NCAA tournament. We'll also hear from Tricia Bidford, the head coach of the Bobcat women. On the other side, don't change that dial, keep it right here, 102.9 ESPN Radio. The Press Box is the place to watch all your favorite sports. In the heart of Grizz Country, Press Box has great food and drinks with happy hour and lunch specials every weekday. Don't forget, Press Box has the best happy hour deal in town, Monday through Friday, between 4 and 6, $3 draft beers. That's right, any draft beer at the Press Box, from domestic light beers to IPAs to everything in between, $3 drafts between 4 and 6, Monday through Friday at the Press Box. Press Box also has 2 sports bet machines, so you can always get your bets in before the game starts. The Press Box on Broadway and Van Buren in Missoula.
The wait is over. Grizzly Disposal is now offering no-sort recycling. No more sorting and dragging it across town. They'll get it right from your house. Cans, cardboard, and plastic all in one bin. Handled by Grizzly Disposal. Visit grizzlydisposal.com to add on recycling to your plan or to switch over to Grizzly Disposal today. Give them a call, 541-7171. That's 541-7171. The best trash removal service in town just got better. Grizzly Disposal, the only bears that should be in your garbage.
Buying a car shouldn't be an adventure, and at Missoula Chevrolet, it's not. Their team isn't paid on commission, so there's no pressure. Just honest help finding the right vehicle for you. You'll get real cash value for your trade, and the price you see, that's the price you pay. No back and forth, no guessing, no trail of fine print, just one low price, plain and simple always. So if you're ready for a smoother ride, on or off the road, head to Missoula Chevrolet and shop hundreds of vehicles in stock. Together, let's drive.
All Nations Health Center is committed to keeping you vibrant and full of energy by supporting your physical, mental, and spiritual health. All Nations Health Center in Missoula offers a variety of services to the Indigenous and non-Indigenous people of Western Montana. All Nations offers primary care doctors, behavioral health services, mental health counseling, and even dental. All Nations currently serves more than 2,000 registered clients who are proud Indigenous people. For more information about how All Nations Health Center can help you, visit allnations.health.
Fundraising is not always a popular word. Then you throw in some parents who don't really know how to do it, and it can become stressful. Vertical Raise can implement hands-on with any high school sports team to help maximize your fundraising efforts. Peter Hamill is an expert in making the process easy and ensuring your team gets the biggest check possible, so your season can go smoothly. Vertical Raise can help provide opportunities for family and friends of your kids to support them from afar. Not everyone can come watch a game, but plenty can contribute to a great cause. To find out how Vertical Raise can help your organization raise money, visit verticalraise.com.
Happy New Year, Montana. I'm Secretary of State Christy Jacobson with some great news for Montana businesses. I'm once again waiving the annual report filing fee. Visit biz.sosmt.gov, file your annual report by April 15th, and the fee will automatically be waived. It's that simple. Thanks for doing business in Montana, and here's to a successful 2026.
This message sponsored by Montana Secretary of State's office in cooperation with the Montana Broadcasters Association.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Montana's Division I basketball teams continued struggling over the weekend. Hello, I'm Jeff Safford. The Montana State women remain the team that's leading the charge out of the Treasure State. For the 7th time in the last 11 years, MSU reached the 20-win mark, thanks to gutting out a 67-61 win over Idaho State. Montana State's 4th straight win helped avenge a 79-60 loss to ISU in Pocatello. The victory also helped boost MSU to a 13-2 record in league play and 20-6 overall. The rest of the D1 teams from Montana went down. In Ogden Saturday night, the Grizz men's basketball team got blasted, allowing Weber State to shoot 60% from the floor en route to a 92-72 loss. UM has dropped 3 in a row and sit at 8-7 in league play and 14-14 overall. In Pocatello, Idaho State is red hot after racing past the Montana State men. Gus Etchen went nuclear. The former NAIA transfer poured in 36 points and dished 8 assists to lead Idaho State to a 91-77 win over the Bobcats. Montana State's 2 losses this past weekend dropped MSU to 9-6 in league. In Missoula, the Lady Grizz have lost 6 in a row after an 86-79 loss to Weber State. Montana sits at 4-11 in league, entering the final 3 games of the regular season.
It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
Finished my Dave Grohl autobiography that I was reading. It's excellent. You should read it. It's really good. He's like, first of all, Dave Grohl is famous all on his own, right? I mean, he's the drummer from Nirvana and then the lead singer of the Foo Fighters, and also has cameoed in Queens of the Stone Age and, them Crooked Vultures, and he's been in all over the place, right? He also is somehow like best friends with Paul McCartney. Like, how did that happen? Well, read the book. You'll find out. Pretty cool. Once upon a time, he played drums for Tom Petty for a minute when they had like a drummer transition. He's just lived a charmed life. He's like the Forrest Gump of rock and roll. I really enjoyed the book. It's called Storyteller. He wrote it during the pandemic, and it's just fascinating to see how the circumstances that he has helped create for himself have then led to this charmed life. Nuanez Now 102.9, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. It was not a good weekend in college basketball around the state of Montana for the Division I teams. The Grizz got swept by Idaho State and Weber State, respectively. The Cats got swept by Weber State and Idaho State, respectively. The Lady Grizz got swept by those 2 schools in the Idaho State-Weber order. But Montana State carried the day. They destroyed Weber on Thursday, 81-36, and then the MSU women turned around and got a little redemption. They beat Idaho State 67-61. Idaho State was one of the 2 teams that have beaten Montana State in conference play so far this year. They drilled them in Pocatello, but Montana State got back on the right side of things. Jameson Phillip leads the way again. She's going to be an all-league player by the time it's all said and done. And I wouldn't be surprised if she's the freshman of the year this year in the Big Sky Conference. She had 21 points and 4 assists to help lead Montana State. Taylor Chirick, 14 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 steals. And Ella Johnson, 11 points, and they hit a couple threes as the Bobcats were able to emerge. They didn't shoot the ball particularly well. Actually, they didn't shoot the ball well at all. 31% from the floor and just 22% from beyond the arc. But they took care of business. They took care of the glass, and they forced 23 turnovers and only committed 12, which is a winning formula. And Patricia Binford has solved the winning formula. She has been the best coach in the conference for the last 11 years. This win gives Montana State their 20th victory, and They're gunning for a 6th Big Sky title in that 11-year span. This is their 7th 20-win season in that 11-year span. So the consistency has been impressive. The ability to reload has been impressive. And the fact that they are continuing to build a bona fide mid-major power is certainly a fun follow for basketball fans across the Treasure State. Trish Bedford caught up with the media following her team's 13th conference victory. This is about 4 minutes from the postgame after Montana State's 67-61 win over Idaho State on Saturday in Missoula.
A lot of starts and stops in this game, for better or worse. How do you get your team to remain composed, hopefully as best you can, when there's so little flow?
You have Ella Johnson hit a 3. I thought that helped with their composure. Every game has a little bit of a different feel to it. I thought when we got ourselves going, we were getting steals and we were trying to get the pace going. We didn't necessarily hit every layup. We missed quite a few, but I thought that pace really set the tone for us on the defensive end, especially kind of going into that second half. But that timely 3 was really important. I thought we were getting somewhat tight at that point.
That puts you all ahead for good, and then there's some free throws that help with that. But the free throws overall are still kind of a struggle. How important is it to win in spite of that?
Well, we talked about it being a grind today, and grind victories, tight victories are really important, especially prior to the Big Sky tournament. So you learn what that feels like, and it's a privilege to feel that pressure. But now we have to understand, okay, how did I respond to get myself loose again with that pressure? And I think some of your composure kids, those things can come through in those situations. Ella really responded. Jamison played like an upperclassman for us today, getting us to the foul line. I think I can work on a little bit more in-the-game management. There were a couple decisions we made when we were trying to take some time off the clock, or we were trapping when we wanted to be a little bit more solid. But I have a young team, and those are learning lessons that we're going through, and those are exciting things that will prepare you well.
I know you like to say sometimes that at a certain point, freshmen are no longer freshmen, like they are upperclassmen. How long ago do you think Jamison passed whatever that line of demarcation is?
Oh, it's probably October, to be quite honest. Maybe it was in the summer. And she's got a great feel for the game. She's got a very high IQ. She's a willing learner. If anything, she's more than willing. She's eager to see how she can continue doing better for this team, and she does it on both ends of the floor. So, I just love the dynamic with what her and Taylor do off of each other. She's just been a warrior in every way for us on both ends of the floor, and today we had to play through her down that stretch.
And snowballing off that, what areas have you seen Jamison grow the most this season?
Well, obviously, the ability to take over in some situations as a freshman. I'm like, you're a freshman, and you've got Taylor Cherrick on the floor, you got Addie Harris on the floor, you got some of these upperclassmen, and she's working on facilitating and getting the ball in their hands. But there's times, too, when the ball's in her hands where she knows if we're in the bonus and we can get to the foul line. I just think there's a maturity about her that she's really involved with on the offensive end. The defensive end, I will tell you, she's doing a better job of not having body contact, so she's staying out of foul trouble a little bit more, but she still had a little bit of foul trouble today. So that's still a work in progress, but I'd rather pull the reins back than try to get a kid compete harder.
And for the freshmen like Jamison as well, playing in a tournament-style atmosphere like today, just how beneficial do you think it is for them who don't have that tournament style or tournament experience down in Boise yet?
Yeah, I think this feels like a tournament experience when you got the score really tight. You're in the last 2 minutes, time and score situations. I'm like, the clarity for me is this prepared us well for the next game up, right? So I need to make sure I'm working on a little bit more in-game management with this team, a few more box-out drills with this team, but at the same time, we kept them off the glass to 2 overboards in the fourth quarter. Idaho State's a fantastic rebounding team. This is the most physical team in this conference, one of the best defensive teams in this conference, and our kids had their hands full, so I thought we got better in those areas.
Where are you seeing growth defensively from your team?
The biggest growth is taking less risks where we're not giving up some wide open shots at the other end. I think we're being a little bit more disciplined on the chances that we do take. So we're really just trying to focus on guarding the ball better one-on-one, where we were giving up a lot of direct lines early. I think we're a little bit more solid in that area.
Coach, going on the road the next 2 games, always harder to win away from home. What do you want to see out of your team over the next week?
I want him to get better Monday, and then I want him to get better Tuesday and Wednesday, and you know where I'm going with that, right? So I want him to focus on the game for Thursday, and then we'll turn the page on Friday and address that. But we need to make sure that we're continuing to grow, staying hungry right now, and getting better, because you're right, it is hard to win on purpose.
Guys, I can't contain my excitement right now. And it has nothing to do with Tricia Binford. Appreciate Coach Ben for the post game, and thanks for Montana State Sports Info for sending that along. And a good job by the Bobcats for being the only D1 team from Montana that won on Saturday. It's Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. This just hit the inbox while we are sitting here. And no, it's not a concert announcement. Usually that's the number one thing that hits my inbox that gets me excited. No, Bobby Kennedy, the new head coach for the University of Montana, is hosting a press conference on Wednesday at 10:30 to preview spring ball. That in itself is a revelation. We haven't had a head coach that did a spring ball preview press conference. I mean, I don't even know. 8 years? I'm trying to think if Bobby Houck did them at the beginning. He certainly has never. He did not do it in the post-pandemic era. Never. Not since 2020 for sure. We can say that. That in itself is worth getting excited about. I'm excited to, ask BK some questions that aren't just about him and getting hired. But here's the part that's crazy. And this shouldn't be crazy, but it has been that they just haven't let this happen. But now it's happening. Brett Pease, the offensive coordinator, is also going to be there. We get to ask questions to a coordinator. Hallelujah. And then the email goes on to say that we can cover spring ball. We can get interviews before and after. We can interview assistant coaches. This is tremendous. We're going to have so much content. Do you have any idea how long I've wanted to interview coaches, assistant coaches for the Grizz? We have assistant coaches for the Bobcats on this show and on Skyline Sports all the time. It's just so silly. I don't need to get into it. This is a total diatribe. It's been a complete miss for Montana to not let that happen. And I get it. You don't want to have game plan. Actually, I don't get it. But I could see maybe a sliver of why you didn't want it, because you want to control the message from a game planning standpoint or opponent standpoint. I've always lobbied to let us have interviews with the assistant coaches so we can talk about the players. Who knows about Eli Gilman better than his coach, his position coach? I mean, how crazy is it that Kale Iaz was one of the best quarterbacks in the country? He led the country in passing last year, and we didn't get to talk to his quarterbacks coach. It happens to be Brent Pease. That's nuts. It's unjustifiable. But here's the deal. We're not crying over spilt milk. That already happened. That's in the past. Whatever. Move on. Because guess what? We get to interview Brent Pease about Kaylee and other players on the roster on Wednesday, and then we're going to get access to assistant coaches. I just can't tell you how excited I am, because this is such a simple change. But it's just so much better for everybody. Why wouldn't you want to have the most information you can out there about your football team? You have one of the craziest, most rabid fan bases in all of college football. Who's right now is listening to the show that doesn't want to hear what an assistant coach has to say about a player? I want to know. I can't wait to ask Bobby Kennedy about Brooks Davis last year. What an awesome freshman year. When Kennedy was the receivers coach, how did you get him to work like that, right? How did you get him to perform like that as a young guy? We didn't get to ask Bobby Kennedy that when he's the receivers coach. Now we do. It's a great day. Great day to be alive. Unfortunately, we got to talk about some more not so great stuff when it comes to what the heck's going on with the Grizz and Lady Grizz. That's next. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. It's 102.9 ESPN Radio.
You might be thinking, what's the big deal about a kids menu? Well, once you have kids, you know. It seems like it's getting harder and harder to find kid-friendly meals at affordable prices. At Paradise Falls, the kids menu is not only diverse, it's a total steal. For some of the cheapest prices in town, you can get hamburgers, mac and cheese, and other kid favorites for super low prices. Paradise Falls is a family-friendly restaurant open 7 days a week. Come enjoy a meal with your kiddos in Paradise at Paradise Falls, 3621 Brook Street, Missoula's coolest hotspot.
Going to the dentist doesn't have to be a memorable experience, and at Big Sky Smiles and Sedation, that's exactly the point. If the thought of dental work makes you anxious, they offer safe, effective sedation dentistry so you can relax while they restore your healthy, confident smile. From implants to cleanings, Big Sky Smiles and Sedation makes your comfort their priority. Big Sky Smiles and Sedation, because your visit should be easy to forget, but your smile should be unforgettable. Call Big Sky Smiles and Sedation today, 406-549-6222, or visit BigSkySmilesandSedation.com.
While winter may slow things down, the team at Black Mountain Lawn is still hard at work across Missoula. All winter long, Black Mountain Lawn helps Missoula homeowners with junk removal, tree trimming and removal, demolition work, grading, and draining fixes, plus landscape planning and estimates for spring. Winter is the perfect time to get ahead and beat the busy season. Visit blackmountainlandscaping.com, call 406-529-0793, or email Dave at blackmountainlawns.com to schedule a winter estimate.
Are you a vacation rental owner in Western Montana, tired of the hassle but still want to boost your bookings and revenue from your property? Meet Mountain Town VRM. Mountain Town VRM offers property owners a real-time portal with the detailed insights into revenue, expenses, and platform performance, plus the ability to block personal dates. Guests benefit from custom digital guidebooks with local tips and house information curated by our Montana-based team to create a more personalized and memorable stay. Let Mountain Town VRM do the work while you enjoy the return. Visit mountaintownvrm.com to see what your property could earn today.
Cold weather cravings? The Montana Club has got you covered with scratch-made comfort food to match every craving. From perfectly grilled steaks to satisfying salads, they're ready to handle your hunger. So grab a table with a reservation or keep it casual and order delivery straight to your door. Great food made easy. Visit MontanaClub.com to order or reserve and come warm up at your Montana Club. Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
From the opening face-off to the final horn, Grizz Hockey was backed by the best fans in college hockey. That's Grizz Nation at the Glacier Ice Rink. All season long, you brought the noise, brought the pride, and turned every game into a battle. Big hits, last-second goals, heart-pounding moments. University of Montana Hockey doesn't do it without you, and we mean that. So keep packing the rink, keep raising the volume, and keep backing the Grizz for years to come. Thank you, Missoula, for your continued support of Montana Grizzly Hockey.
This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
Welcome back. 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran owned, and the only Bears that should be in your garbage. I've said this for a long time. Coach that I used to cover, shall remain nameless for this part of the conversation, used to always tell me that in men's college basketball, there becomes this point where teams either love playing with each other and they don't want it to end, or they are so done being around each other they can't wait for the end of the year. And that's why I think you see teams right around that Valentine's Day, right? A lot of coaches will tell you, Valentine's Day, mid-February, that's Judgment Day. Because then your team needs to determine which trajectory that it's on. Now, I'm not implying that there's any sort of quit going on with Grizz men's basketball, but they did not look like a team that was inspired to compete on Saturday at Weber. I thought it was stunning. Okay, you lose to Idaho State. You get upset at Idaho State, right? It was a back-and-forth game. You lose by 4. You had a guy that came out of nowhere, put on his Superman cape, Gus Etchison, scores 29 points, takes you by surprise. All right. Not making excuses for you, but it's basketball. It happens, right? Idaho State was in last place going into that game. They lost 9 in a row. They were not supposed to be the worst team in the league, right? They're supposed to be a team that's middle of the road. Still, though, the Grizz have won 14 straight times in Pocatello, and now they've lost 2 in a row there. That itself is a point of concern. But you have that happen to you on Thursday, right? You better come out with your hair on fire on Saturday. against Weber State. You lost to your rival at home, then you stub your toe in a trap game. Again, no excuses here, but none of that is like crazy out of the ordinary SOS, hit the alarm. It's not just that the Grizz lost 92-72 to Weber State on Saturday. It was the fact that this game was a no contest. Weber got up by like 18 in the first half, and there was really no resistance after that. I mean, the Grizz were losing by as many as, I think, 26. It just can't happen. I know Montana had a ton of turnover from last year. I know that there's, so much of what's broken about men's college basketball is not the fault of anybody that works or plays in men's college basketball. That's the sad truth. I know that people say, well, what about March Madness? I love March Madness. You give me a one-and-done type of tournament, a single-elimination type tournament, a neutral court, that's all exciting. It's always going to be exciting because of the ramifications of the result. The basketball is not good. Men's college basketball is not good right now. If you want to argue with me for that, text me and tell me I'm wrong. 406-888-1029. Because I'm not. The skill is at an all-time low. The team continuity and chemistry is at an all-time low. It's clunky. Like the way that the games are refereed, the way that it's officiated, the way that the defense is being played. The rules don't match up with the abilities of the players. Then you factor in that they're the only level of basketball that remains on this earth that plays halves instead of quarters. And it screws up the foul situation. Teams are getting in the bonus 5 minutes into a half. They're getting into the double bonus with 13 minutes to go in the half. None of it caters to good flow within a basketball game. None of that's Montana's fault. None of that. You got to show up with some fight on Saturday night. I'm not saying, Weber's pretty good. At this point, nobody in the league is that good, and nobody in the league's that bad. They're all just kind of same, right? So what's going to put you over the top? Well, coaching, first of all. And I actually feel bad for Travis DeCure and his staff because I think that they are they're in a state of flux. I think they're trying to figure this out, right? They had a defined formula for how to build a program, and they did it really, really well before the pandemic. Then the pandemic happened. That derailed their program seriously. We've talked about that extensively. There's just a lot of things where, like, you're recruiting guys from the Bay Area and from Seattle. When they have to come to Missoula and they can't experience Missoula and they just have to sit in a dorm room and get their dinner hung on the door in a plastic bag, like, that ain't it. You're not going to be able to keep out-of-state guys when you recruit them to a place where it's forever winter. I know this winter is not like that, but a place where it's forever winter. If they don't get to experience what makes Missoula cool with the great fan base and all this stuff, then it's going to be hard. We've talked about it a million times. But then they got it back on track a little bit the last couple of years. They were good. But you're starting to wonder, like, if you have to rebuild this thing every year, how much of, if you hit on transfers or the guys you bring in, how much of that comes down to luck, fortune, right? Last year they did a great job of recruiting Kai Johnson. That's a great get, and he was a great player for him. Joe Pridgeon, he just ends up in Montana and somehow has a sixth year left to play college basketball. Like, the guy, he's from the East Coast. He played at multiple East Coast schools. But because his wife had family connections, her dad had moved to Kalispell, so all of a sudden, his young family is moving out to Montana, and he just has a year of eligibility. Again, good job for them to have an open mind to get him on the team. But that circumstance is just a complete flyer for that to happen. He's a first-team all-conference player. It's a pretty good. Joe Pridgeon started last year as a walk-on. That's a pretty good dude to get to just move into your backyard to become a walk-on, right? So, again, all this stuff when it comes to how do you build your roster, et cetera, et cetera. More than anything, you just have to have desire. You have to understand the pride that goes behind and the tradition that you're representing at Montana men's basketball. You can't just be dead in the water on Saturday. And I don't know whose fault this is. I actually hate playing that game where it's got to be everybody has to be at fault. There has to be somebody at fault. I don't know if this is anybody's fault. But the fact of the matter is, Grizz got to fix it. Because I said last week that I thought the Grizz were the team with the highest ceiling in the conference. I thought if they could find their stride and put it together, that they could go win the tournament and make it to March Madness again. Who knows what sort of seed they'd get, but they could at least run it back and have that NCAA tournament experience again. If the team that showed up this last week shows up in Boise, they are not winning the tournament, and they are not going back to the big dance. I don't know how to fix it, honestly. I mean, I think if you're Coach DeCure, you got to just tell these guys. And I'm sure, there's just no question in my mind that he's saying, hey, that what happened Saturday, after a tough loss in Pocatello, we cannot show up lifeless like we did in Ogden. Can't happen. The Grizz are back home this week. They play Sacramento State on Thursday, Portland State on Saturday. Let's get the tickets rolling. I just said so many nice things about the team, right? They do have some it is still fun to watch, right? And that's the drama, right? Can they figure it out? So get behind them and see if you can help them figure it out. If you'd like to go Saturday or Thursday, let us know. Mike Bibby will be in town on Thursday, of course, as the head coach at Sac State. And then Portland State, the at least Big Sky Conference champions, will be in town on Saturday, 3 p.m. tip on Saturday afternoon. So if you'd like to get tickets to either one of those games, 406-888-1029. Let us know which game you'd like to go to, 406-888-1029. Text us right now. Let us know you want to be in on Grizz Hoops for this weekend. Thursday against Sac State at 7 and Saturday against Portland State at 3. For the Lady Grizz, I already mentioned it. I don't even think it's worth hashing it all out. Other than you just got to turn the page. You got to do as well as you can down the stretch here. First of all, you got Sac State and Portland State. You're on the road, but you should beat those two teams. You got Northern Colorado on Monday. I don't know. Northern Colorado's better than the Lady Grizz, period. But it would be nice to have a little upswing going in the tournament. And then you guys got to figure out a way to win one in Boise. I think one. So right now, let's just assume the Lady Grizz have 3 regular season games left. I think you got to go 2-1 in those games, and then you got to win a game in Boise to have some semblance of momentum going in the offseason. If you go 0-3 and then you're on a 10-game losing streak, you have single-digit wins. First of all, right now they got 7 wins. You got to get to 10 wins if you're the Lady Grizz. One way or the other, you got to get to 10 wins. Got to get double figures wins. And then let the chips fall, turn the page, start a new chapter, see where it goes. Other than that, I don't know what they do because I think they're up a creek. I think they have a couple good players. I think they got a lot of players that aren't good enough to play at this level, and that's just the fact of the matter. Well, tonight, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Hour 1 in the books. Hour 2 coming at you. Ryan Tutel on the fallout of Bobby Houck's retirement, plus some prep news for you as well, including state wrestling championship results. That's all next. Keep it right here, 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Hi, I'm Brody Miller, real estate loan officer with Stockman Bank in Missoula. Having the right team guiding your path to homeownership is important. Experience the power of local banking where decisions are made right here in Montana. At Stockman, we deliver quick turnaround, professional service, building relationships one loan at a time. Stop in, give us a call, or apply online. Experience Montana's brand of banking. We're here to guide you home. Stockman Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
The Press Box is the place to watch all your favorite sports. In the heart of Grizz Country, Press Box has great food and drinks with happy hour and lunch specials every weekday. Don't forget, Press Box has the best happy hour deal in town, Monday through Friday, between 4 and 6, $3 draft beers. That's right, any draft beer at the Press Box, from domestic light beers to IPAs to everything in between, $3 drafts between 4 and 6, Monday through Friday at the Press Box. Press Box also has 2 sports bet machines, so you can always get your bets in before the game starts. The Press Box on Broadway and Van Buren in Missoula.
The wait is over. Grizzly Disposal is now offering no-sort recycling. No more sorting and dragging it across town. They'll get it right from your house. Cans, cardboard, and plastic all in one bin. Handled by Grizzly Disposal. Visit grizzlydisposal.com to add on recycling to your plan or to switch over to Grizzly Disposal today. Give them a call, 541-7171. That's 541-7171. The best trash removal service in town just got better. Grizzly Disposal, the only bears that should be in your garbage.
All Nations Health Center is committed to keeping you vibrant and full of energy by supporting your physical, mental, and spiritual health. All Nations Health Center in Missoula offers a variety of services to the Indigenous and non-Indigenous people of Western Montana. All Nations offers primary care doctors, behavioral health services, mental health counseling, and even dental. All Nations currently serves more than 2,000 registered clients who are proud Indigenous people. For more information about how All Nations Health Center can help you, visit allnations.health.
When a child in Montana is diagnosed with a serious illness, families must often leave home behind, traveling significant distances for treatment, paying for gas, hotels, and meals, on top of mounting medical bills. Those costs add up fast, and many parents simply can't keep up. The Jade and Fred Foundation was created to change that. Inspired by one little girl's courageous battle with cancer, this local nonprofit provides direct financial help to Montana families with sick children who must travel for specialized medical care. They step in to cover essentials like fuel, lodging, and day-to-day expenses, easing the financial pressure so families can focus on their child's health. For more than 2 decades, the Jade and Fred Foundation has stood by hundreds of families across our state in their darkest days, living out their mission of making a difference one life at a time. Visit jadeandfred.org to donate, sponsor, or volunteer at one of their community events that raise critical funds for these kids. That's JADYNFRED.org, because no Montana family should face a medical crisis alone.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Montana's Division I basketball teams continued struggling over the weekend. Hello, I'm Jeff Safford. The Montana State women remain the team that's leading the charge out of the Treasure State. For the 7th time in the last 11 years, MSU reached the 20-win mark, thanks to gutting out a 67-61 win over Idaho State. Montana State's 4th straight win helped avenge a 79-60 loss to ISU in Pocatello. The victory also helped boost MSU to a 13-2 record in league play and 20-6 overall. The rest of the D1 teams from Montana went down. In Ogden Saturday night, the Grizz men's basketball team got blasted, allowing Weber State to shoot 60% from the floor en route to a 92-72 loss. UM has dropped 3 in a row and sit at 8-7 in league play and 14-14 overall. In Pocatello, Idaho State is red hot after racing past the Montana State men. Gus Etchen went nuclear. The former NAIA transfer poured in 36 points and dished 8 assists to lead Idaho State to a 91-77 win over the Bobcats. Montana State's 2 losses this past weekend dropped MSU to 9-6 in league. In Missoula, the Lady Grizz have lost 6 in a row after an 86-79 loss to Weber State. Montana sits at 4-11 in league, entering the final 3 games of the regular season.
Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
If this wasn't already one of my top 100 favorite albums, in this Dave Grohl autobiography I just finished, they talked about when they recorded this album, Queens of the Stone Age, which Dave Grohl had a 2-album cameo in as the drummer. But if you understand how music is recorded and produced and stuff, like a lot of times you're re-recording a ton of different stuff, or you're like layering the music. Like one guy will record the guitar, then you redo the drums, whatever. Queens of the Stone Age recorded that album, 1 take straight to tape. That's crazy. That is crazy. You have to so basically everybody has to go in there and be rehearsed and just nail it. I had no idea. When he was talking about that, I was like, that blows my mind. That makes that album even better, as good as it already is. Welcome back, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Missoula Broadcasting, locally owned and operated, as is Grizzly Disposal. If you'd like to make the switch to locally owned and operated waste management, they give back to all sorts of different causes in our community. Chicks and Chaps, they have pink carts for you where they can donate to breast cancer awareness. They have Grizzly Scholarship Association carts as well. Make the switch to civic-minded and locally owned and operated waste management today. 406-541-7171. That's 406-541-7171. Grizzly Disposal, the only Bears that should be in your garbage. If you missed anything in the show so far, well, we talked all about the highs of the weekend, which was the Olympic hockey team winning the gold and Montana State's women keeping it rolling on the hardwood, and the lows of the weekend, which included the Grizz just no-showing in Ogden on Saturday night, and the Lady Grizz continuing to spiral, and now they're on a 6-game losing streak. And don't look now, the other side of the divide, Montana State had it going a little bit, and now they are also in a skid as well after they got swept this weekend too. So we talked about the highs and the lows of the weekend, all of it on the Nuanez Now podcast, which is available on all your various podcast hosting platforms. One of our favorite guests, a former co-host of the show, Ryan Tutel, joins us next. He and I continue to hash out the hottest topic in the state of Montana, Bobby Hauck's abrupt retirement into unretirement, and what it all means for Grizz football with spring ball on the horizon. A portion of that conversation right now.
Do you think there's any bad blood between Bobby Hauck and the athletic department in the University of Montana? I'm not working in media at this moment in time, so I'm just going to feel free. Hell yeah, there is. Both directions.
Right.
A lot of it. And I think that it's been there from day one in some form or fashion. And I think that retiring and then taking a job 5 days later at the University of Illinois is, first of all, so horrifically disingenuous on the part of Bobby Hauck. It's also clearly the way he did it and what he did, while it's not as if he could have come out if he was so angry or upset or something about it and said, here's the deal. Here's what I think about what's going on internally. Here's my walk off, cut the tie off your boss type of deal and do that. He did not do that. Right. And when I say there's bad blood, I don't necessarily mean that Bobby Hauck hates the University of Montana or vice versa. I certainly don't think that. But if this is not a scenario where everything was just hunky-dory. And I don't know that it's been that way from the very, very beginning. If you think about the way that Bobby Hauck was brought in this time, it was as a result of a absolute unmitigated disaster in the hiring and the short tenure of Bob Stitt. It was a hire that I don't think it's too strong to say that Kent Haslam was forced to make.
Correct.
And I would say if you're forced to make it, that means it's not necessarily not only is it not, it's clearly not your choice in a certain sense. I just think it's somewhat against as well. I don't think Bobby Hauck would have been Kent Haslam's choice of choice, but I don't know that he had that option at that time.
For those that follow along, when he says forced, I mean, it was an incredible amount of booster pressure. Like the booster pressure was probably we wrote a story about this at SkylineSportsMT.com. I know that that's certainly still a point of contention on the Montana campus, but Kyle Sample, who was working for us at the time, had it from multiple high-level boosters that going into the 2017 Cat Grizz game, that if Bob Stitt won the game and made the playoffs, he would be offered a contract extension, a multiple-year contract extension. If he lost the game and missed the playoffs, he would still be offered a 1-year contract extension. That's what we reported, and I stand behind that reporting to this day. That ignited then this whole narrative of how are you going to give this guy an extension if he loses, and then the ball started rolling. All of a sudden, Stitt does not get renewed, and then there was an immense amount of booster pressure to bring back the prodigal son.
And we don't know the inner workings of what was on the table or what booster money was going to be recanted if that didn't happen, which is the same thing as saying, yeah, it's your choice, but you can do it with funding or not. So have a nice day. But the point is that Bobby Hauck got brought into a situation where he knew he had power. And I don't know.
More than just power and, how do you say?
Leverage.
No one to be accountable to.
That's right. A new president that wasn't even a president at the time that he got hired. So
How much do you think that played in? How much do you think Seth Bodner stepping away was a part of the dominoes of this?
I think very little.
Because I've always wondered, and this is just me talking out loud, and if the athletic department guys are listening to this, this is just me completely asking a question. I'm not speculating anything. I just always wondered if, because of how Bobby Hauck was hired, if the AD's office had the authority to actually fire him.
Of course, I don't know the answer to that, but I also don't think that it just never seemed to me that Seth Bodner was ever all that interested in making executive decisions in athletics, period. Regardless of sport or whatever. He's there to support and kind of pump it up and take the pizzas out and et cetera. But he's not there to call people to the carpet. And look, let's be honest. I don't envy anybody who finds themselves in the position of being the boss of Bobby Hauck. Okay, that can't be an easy place to be, And particularly if Bobby Hauck, isn't interested in it and maybe doesn't really think that he does have one.
Right.
But you know what? He does. And everybody has to be accountable to somebody, or at least they should be. And I think that, again, over the course of our time together, Coulter, on the radio and right here on these podcasts and in general, I have really spent so much time both trying to articulate myself with grace and not to surmise things that aren't coming from somewhere. But I am taking 8 years worth of not knowing any specific details, but seeing a whole picture. And now I'm spinning a story. And yes, this is 100% me talking now. Okay. I'm not speaking for anyone else. And I'm not speaking on facts that I know that I can't talk about. I'm not even talking about source stuff. I'm just reading the situation from all of the public things that are there to be known. Okay. And I think Kent's best way to maintain his position with Bobby Hauck is to not go in and be the first one to talk about a contract extension, regardless of the circumstance.
Right.
And so,
because I did have questions of who could actually terminate him, but I have no question over who can give him a contract extension or not. That's right. Is for sure in the hands of the athletic department and specifically the athletic director.
And here's the other thing. Ken Haslam, I think, has proven himself to be a very, very good administrator. And I think he really desires the best and sort of wants the best, and he's a very good and nice guy, if I can say that. I mean, I think that he is well liked interpersonally by just about everybody that he kind of works with, and I think he's easy to get along with, and I think he wants to champion the people kind of that he, the department of the university and all of that. And I think that he and Bobby Hauck are absolutely oil and water personality-wise, personality type, and also situationally and circumstantially. And I don't think that this was probably a relationship that was ever in really a whole lot of lockstep. I think it was a lot of leave me the hell alone, and it was a lot of, well, what am I supposed to do? And when it comes to the point where even though Montana had a wildly successful football season, they are being asphyxiated in certainly in-state recruiting. And with you can just get on your Threads feed, man, and just take a look at the staffs of both schools and let me know who's doing what. I mean, it's not hard to see who's out and who isn't out. And at some point, there's a rub there. And I think, of course, all the things that Coach Hauck said at his press conference, I think are 100% true. But I think there was a lot of intentional omission for things that he's thinking and feeling. And I think there's a lot of intentional omission on the part of Kent Haslam. If I was going to guess, is Kent Haslam personally happy, maybe too strong, relieved that Bobby Hauck's no longer the head coach of the University of Montana? I would say absolutely. And you know what? I don't think he's alone. And here's what I think. This is my belief about the overwhelming consensus about Bobby Hauck at the University of Montana. We're talking about the longest tenured coach in the history of the program. We're talking about the winningest coach in the history of the program. We're talking about the winningest coach in the history of the conference. You look at other schools who have coaches with that resume, and they are beloved.
Yep.
Coach Houck at the University of Montana, by the fans, by the fan base, by the people who are around there, in general, I think respect Coach Houck a lot.
Yeah.
I think they appreciate Coach Houck a lot.
Yep.
I don't think he is beloved at the University of Montana.
Yeah. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Colter Nuanez, Ryan Tutel breaking down Bobby Houck's abrupt retirement and then unretirement. It's been a few weeks, but it's still a bombshell. This is an excerpt from the Big Sky Breakdown podcast series. You can find that on all your various podcast hosting platforms, but I figured I'd play a formative amount of my conversation from this last weekend with Ryan Tutel. More on the reputation that Bobby Houck leaves at the University of Montana on his way to Illinois. At the same time, I think that Bobby Houck is the person, one of the people at least, that understands at a deeper level than almost anybody else that's on this earth what the expectation is at Montana. And I think he totally understands that he had a huge hand in setting that expectation. When he went undefeated in the conference, like 3 years, they lost one conference game in 4 years. Like that redefined what the expectation is within the scope of the league for everybody, for the Grizz, right? And although he understands the expectation as well as anybody, and this is not new. This is not 61-year-old Bobby Houck. 42-year-old Bobby Houck still had this element of resentment toward the fact that other people also understood the expectation and understood because of that expectation that he was not meeting it. Like, if you set the expectation yourself to understand that it's national championship or bust, and then you don't win the national championship, and then people are like, well, why not? Why didn't we win it? And then he's resentful of that. That has always been one of the strangest dynamics, but also just from human nature, also understandable dynamics as well, right? But do you get what I'm saying? Like, he's always been like, at the same time, I understand why Grizz fans want me to go undefeated and win the national championship every year, yet I hate you for wanting me to do that, because why is 13-2 and the semis not good enough for you?
You know what, though? Here's what I think. I think it is good enough. However,
if you present it the right way?
Absolutely, man. Let's talk about the coaches at the University of Montana. Now, I'll start with the two that did win the whole thing, right? Joe Glenn, Don Reed.
Yeah.
But guess what? Joe Glenn's out there playing the piano. He's an icon. Right. He was here a handful of years. Yeah, he won a national championship, but he doesn't have anything like the legacy. He's got a much bigger legacy at South Dakota than he does at the University of Montana in terms of total coaching time and all of that. Don Reed, obviously, he's the godfather, right? He kind of started the whole thing. Mick Dennehy, Mick Delaney. Dude, these guys are guys who are going to sit down with a beer and slap you on the back and do the whole thing and have a great time. And there's other coaches who haven't done that. Bob Stitt, he ain't that dude, and he was a bad coach. It was a complete lose-lose there, right?
Poor Bob Stitt, yeah.
But I do think Bobby Houck, look, Bobby Houck ain't that guy. That's not.
But he is that guy to all the people that have been so crazy supportive of him. They will tell you he is that guy
totally
to the utmost. And that's the part.
He's been that towards us, towards you and me personally,
no question.
7% of the time.
Right. But then that's the ultimate question. Kyle Sample asked this on the Grizz Fan podcast. If that is how he is, and the stuff he does on Mondays at press conferences or whatever, where he just
is an act,
rips Frank's head off. Why? What is the thing? Like, he even said this on his retirement press conference, because Rainey asked him, what are you going to miss most about coaching the Grizz? And like a smart ass that he is, Houck said, I'm going to miss doing Monday press conferences with you and Frank. And then he went and elaborated, and he said, there's coaches all across the country that watch this, that think it's hilarious. And I'm sitting there looking at Frank. I'm like, he's just now telling Frank that this is a joke. Like, he has dunked on this guy in public.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It ain't.
Right.
It's the thing where you're a jerk. And then afterwards, if you feel some modicum of whatever about it, you try and go, Just kidding. Like that's the MO of a bully. And in those instances, that's what it is. Like that's just what it is, straight up. And guess what? Notably, as members of the media, and Frank wasn't the only one who caught it.
We all got dunked on. Everybody got dunked on at some point.
It ain't in private. It's a live broadcast and press conference to everybody. So if people are wondering, well, what's this guy about, and don't have the opportunity to sit with you at the lake or be in the booster club with you or whatever, you know what they think? Well, that's this guy.
Dude.
That's it.
And I've thought this so much because people have always asked, like, one of the chinks in the armor that caused for the Grizz to lose ground against Montana State, which is then in turn manifested all of their other problems. Like, what's the thing that has kept Montana from winning conference championships? Montana State. Now, what's the thing that's kept Montana from winning national championships? Montana State. Like, it's all from this baseline level of Montana State beating them on the ground floor for Montana kids. And I've thought about this so much. My wife's grandparents, the grandpa's 90, the grandma's 87. Like, they're my litmus test for a lot of this stuff. Because, like, they don't even have smartphones. They don't know how to use the computer or the internet. But they watch the news. Every time I go over there,
that's right.
Grandma says, well, I saw Bobby being mean again at the press conference. Like, why does he have to be so rude? Like,
totally.
If that's the only thing, then that you're perpetuating this perception of you as this villain. And I've always wondered, like, how much has that impacted in-state recruiting? Because if you're like a mom from some kid in, Haber or Culbertson or whatever, and you know who this guy is, but like your only thing is you see him on the news, like just not, being like relatively rude and sometimes blatantly rude. Like, how much does that impact the recruiting? It has to have an influence
for sure. And I mean, here's the thing. Let's just be clear. We're talking about all of this on a professional and sports and coaching and university level. You've covered Bobby Hauck longer than I have, but I've been around Coach Hauck a lot and his teams and the whole thing. But if you ask me right now today, hey, who is Bobby Hauck, the person?
Right.
I would go, I have no idea.
All right, Tutel chiming in here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. We are coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran-owned, and the only Bears that should be in your garbage. If you'd like to make the switch to locally owned waste management today, call 406-541-7171. That's 406-541-7171, Grizzly Disposal. Locally owned, veteran-owned, the only Bears that should be in your garbage. More with Ryan Tutel, excerpt of the Big Sky Breakdown podcast right now.
Here's the thing I would say. If the greatest evidence of all of this that we're talking about is Bobby Kennedy. Bobby Kennedy has been the head coach for 48 seconds. He came out of absolutely nowhere. I'll bet you half the fan base or more didn't know he was a coach on the staff this past season.
He's been here since August and he's never done an interview.
No one, totally anonymous. He does one press conference. He's been out to a bunch of events. He's hosted a thing now in a week and a half that he's been the head coach. And there's like this palpable levity about him being there. Has no implication that he's going to be a great coach, right? We're just talking about the kind of feel. And I think that had worn thin both directions. I think it wore Bobby Hauck very thin, like that he can run it the way that he wants to, but people want more than that from him, and he didn't want to give that. And I think that was exhausting to him, in addition to all the other stuff, which I completely think is true for him about the new age of college athletics and NIL and all that. And I know that it wore thin for people inside the department. I think for people on the team, I think for people who are within that deal, like you get, moments of levity, but you get a lot of moments of ass chewing too. And I think that at some point it's like just okay. And I have heard virtually no backlash or frustration or anger or terror or whatever that Bobby Hauck left the school. There's a lot of shock. There's a lot of surprise. Again, it's a bombshell. But after that settled in and Bobby Kennedy gets up there and does his thing and people are like, oh, let's see what this is like. Maybe this could be fun, And time will tell, because it ain't fun if you lose. That's for sure. No matter how happy and jovial and all that kind of stuff, if you lose, it sucks, man. So you got to win, especially at the University of Montana. And Bobby Hauck's a winner. There's no question about that. And I realize the comparisons with, Montana State, especially the second time through, is everything. But the fact is that he is a winner. But he did, I think he progressed to a point, but was not able to progress at the speed or chose not to, of what he needed to be as a figurehead, both pragmatically in the recruiting and the NIL and all of that world, and also just in general of what the new landscape of the Big Sky. What did he say at his opening press conference, Coulter? The only thing different about the Big Sky Conference is that Montana is not at the top of it. Well, guess what? That ain't true. There's a whole lot that's different about the Big Sky Conference, even then, and certainly more now. And that not being able to be on top of that ultimately, I think also, we'll never know, but how much of this is like the writing's on the wall, man? Like, you're not beating Montana State. You're not going to do it.
I think that's one of the biggest motivating factors.
Totally. For sure. However, all that said, I do think saying that you're retiring, taking a job 5 days later, and then pilfering the entire staff on one side of the ball is a pretty bad look for Bobby Hauck leaving this institution. Now, I get it. When guys go to be coaches other places, they take players, they take coaches, they take everybody with them.
Yeah.
But it's all known. Like, that's kind of stated. Like, I'm going and this is what we're doing. This was not that. And the hiring of Bobby Kennedy was under the auspices of, we want to keep this staff in place. And look, man, if you think Bobby Hauck's going to retire or, and then leave for Illinois, but Super Bowl winning defensive mind and brother of Bobby Hauck's just going to stay on to be a co-defensive coordinator for some other guy, that ain't happening. Okay. So we get it that the staff isn't staying, but, taking Roger with him, taking, a couple other guys, and doing so while not being forthcoming about what it is that you're up to, does feel like an intentional choice on his part, and intentional, to sort of undercut a little bit the University of Montana, even with the fact that I think this is good for Bobby Kennedy in a lot of ways.
Ryan Tutel chiming in here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. More of this conversation right now.
Ways.
Sure, totally. And I wonder if there's a
what I mean?
There. I wonder if there's a factor there too. One, you mentioned it. Tim Hauck's going to be done, right? Like that was happening.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident that Bobby Kennedy told the staff, hey, we're going to keep everything together as much as we possibly can. We're changing defenses. Because our biggest flaw is our defensive scheme. So then what if Roger Cooper's like, well, I don't know how to, maybe all I'm saying is maybe Cooper showed himself the door,
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, I think, and by the way, I don't begrudge Roger Cooper at all. You want to make $500,000 to be a positional coach? Deuces. Thank you very much. Will do. Champagne for everybody.
Yeah.
You get it?
I get it.
Okay. Just, these jokes are so subtle sometimes. I got to bring them to the floor. So, I'm not anybody that goes to Illinois, even Bobby Hauck, that's fine. Like, go ahead. But I think how you do it matters, and
the thing that's ironic, though, is even if he is pilfering the staff and he's gutting it, he's actually doing Montana a favor.
I completely agree with you. I really do.
Because you have to have a wholesale change on defense. You already lost all your play. Like, you were going to have to rebuild it personnel wise anyways. So you might as well just rebuild it in scheme too.
And the other thing too is if you're going to be the head coach on a 1-year deal at that, you need to shoot your shot. I think for Bobby Kennedy, like, the worst thing that he could do, I think, for himself personally, and probably for it just in general, this is his first opportunity to be the head coach of a Division I football team.
Yep.
This, really obvious by his own words, is going to be his last opportunity to do that.
Yep.
Okay. Well, if you've got one shot, the last thing you want to do is be the head coach as a figurehead only. Yeah. And not actually do the thing that you feel in your bones. It's like, what? And so, but I also think when you come on even though he's a veteran of coaching, he's a junior member of the staff, showed up in August, for crying out loud, to be a wide receivers coach. Now you're the boss of, these guys who have been here and have been doing it this whole time. And you're going to tell them, no, we're doing it my way now. That's tough, man. When you are a peer of, and in some cases even an underling, for, that's a terrible word, but you know what I mean, like
sure,
don't have the longevity at a place, and now you're on top calling the shots, and now you got to call Roger Moore and Tim Houck into your office and be like, boys, it ain't working and we're not going to do this anymore. And that's a hard ass conversation if you got to come to that.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys won't do that. And so with it being your one and only opportunity, I think to bring guys in and be and have a real staff that is yours and just do what you can with it, I think is I think it's ultimately for the best. And at least I think that Coach Kennedy, win, lose, or draw, is going to be able to sleep at night knowing that, like, he did it. Hopefully he did it his way. And obviously, hopefully his way is tons of wins, hopefully it's great.
That's why I think it's important. If Kent Haslam really did take this to Brent Pease first, and Pease said, no, I think the best thing for us is for me to be the offensive coordinator and the quarterbacks coach and to coach Kaylee Ayat, then I think everything else falls into place.
Yeah.
Because now Tim Houck's retired and Roger Cooper is moving on, and Mike Linehan's gone. So now you just have Kim McLeod as the cornerbacks coach. We'll see if that maintains. But now you're hiring a whole new defensive staff. Your offensive line coach already left, so Brett Myers is new. Justin Green already left. So you're the receivers coach, so you got to hire your own replacement there. So you just have Rob Fennessy, and I think he's a good soldier that'll probably work for anybody. It's the Pease conversation that you had to have. And when Pease says, I give the blessing, let's go with BK, if that's true, then I think that helps Bobby Kennedy a lot.
And the reason that I think that it must be true is because if Pease was actually just passed over,
he would just.
I don't think he's the OC right now.
Yeah, right.
He's like, yo, what are we doing? So it's still so new, man. Like, anything can happen, right? Like, we don't know. And I listened to a little bit about, you talking about the guys that are coming in and some of the upshot there. We don't need to recover that at this moment, but I do think that it's an unexpected but yet opportunistic moment for a new start. Yep. And the thing is like, this is the number 2-3 team in the nation that won 13 games and only lost twice and was nationally elite. They were an outstanding team a year ago. Those are big shoes to fill, and you need to find a way to continue that, not to recreate that, but to continue that. And it is going to be all on defense, because the belief is that the offense is absolutely locked and loaded and ready to roll. And it certainly should be. If Brooks Davis is back at 100%, and he's not a guy who has to emerge, but he's a guy who's just a straight dog from day one. Yep. And if you can take a step forward on your offensive line, I mean, imagine this team with what was a below average offensive line that ascended to an average to above average offensive line. But if they could start at above average and work up from there, this offense could be burning. in 2026.
And that's the thing that gives you the best chance to win. And that's another, like, we can talk about all the exterior stuff, you know, the media relations, the exposure, the transparency, all these things that they're definitive flaws of Bobby Hauck's program. But to me, the thing that they struggled with the last couple of years is their strengths as a team were rooted in the offensive skill. But their head coach wants to win 17-3. And they did a much better job this year of leaning into it. I mean, they led the conference in scoring, and they led the conference in passing yards. And Ayat had statistics to be the best quarterback. I mean, his statistics were the best in the country, you know, in terms of passing yards and touchdowns, et cetera. So they did do a good job of leaning into that. But imagine if you have a coach that doesn't give a shit what the other team. I'm not saying Bobby Kennedy wants to give up 50 points a game, but he's going to be just as happy to win 59-56 as he is to win 17-14. At least I think. And I think that could be the thing for this Grizz team where you are going to have growing pains, especially on defense. You don't have anybody back. You're going to have a whole new staff, a whole new scheme, all this stuff. If you can lean in, though, and just say 8, 10, win us the game. You guys, win us the game. We're going to get you the ball last. Let's win.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that could be actually a big boost for Montana. Well, it's now watching tonight ESPN Radio, excerpt from the Big Sky Breakdown podcast. Ryan Tutel joining us here on this Monday. We're up against it. We got to go. Come back. Talk prep hoops and prep wrestling. That's next. Keep it right here. Watching tonight ESPN Radio.
If you're in search of a trading card of your favorite player, or if your kids are, swing into Zootown Sports Cards. If there's a card of a player you're searching for, Zootown Sports Cards has the cards. With an almost endless collection of singles and inserts, whatever and whoever you're in the market for, Zootown Sports Cards has it. 1990s NBA stars, Zootown has it. 2000s football players, Zootown has it. And looking through the collection is half of the fun. Come check out all of what Zootown Sports Cards has to offer in the Stevens Center in Missoula.
Someone who said they were from Medicare called and asked for my personal information.
I noticed a charge on my Medicare statement for a test I don't remember having.
I got a letter offering me free medical equipment if I gave them my Medicare number.
Something didn't seem right.
It seemed too good to be true.
If something seems odd, it's probably fraud. Call Senior Medicare Patrol at 800-551-3191 to report fraud. This project is supported by a grant by the Administration for Community Living.
Oh man, icy roads can be hard on your vehicle, but the pros at Blue Ribbon Auto Body take pride in restoring your car or truck back to pre-accident condition, helping you maintain your investment. Did you know that you have the right to choose your auto body shop for peace of mind? So why choose anything less than Blue Ribbon Work after your fender bender? Blue Ribbon Work from the pros, found only at Blue Ribbon Auto, where your ride is our pride. Cedar Street in Missoula and Thornton Drive by the Y.
If you've got low energy, brain fog, low sex drive, weight gain, and loss of muscle mass, you might have a testosterone deficiency. Game Day Men's Health can help you optimize your testosterone and make you feel like you again. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com/Missoula for a free consultation and free testosterone test. Mention you heard it on the radio for special pricing. If you're ready for improved sex drive, increased stamina, enhanced muscle mass, and increased confidence, testosterone replacement therapy is for you. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com/Missoula and sign up for your free consultation and free testosterone test today.
Canby Tap House is well known around the Garden City for its peerless selection of draft beers. Breakfast at Canby is also worth a sterling reputation. From breakfast burritos to chicken fried steak to delicious daily specials, Canby Tap House has excellent breakfast for your weekend brunch appetite. Canby also has a full coffee bar offering bold and delicious espresso and other specialty coffee drinks. Canby Tap House is family friendly and conveniently located on Higgins, across from South Campus Stadium and Dorn Blazer Field. Come enjoy the best breakfast in town at Canby Tap House.
Red's Bar is a beloved institution in downtown Missoula. Whether you want to watch a game, enjoy a cold beer, spend time with friendly faces, or simply wind down, the welcoming atmosphere and wonderful staff at Red's will make you feel right at home. Red's features 14 HD TVs and 2 full-service bars. Stop by and grab a beer with friends while you watch your favorite team play and check out the extensive collection of awesome sports memorabilia. Red's Bar in downtown Missoula, the friendliest sports bar in town.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Montana's Division I basketball teams continued struggling over the weekend. Hello, I'm Jeff Safford. The Montana State women remain the team that's leading the charge out of the Treasure State. For the 7th time in the last 11 years, MSU reached the 20-win mark, thanks to gutting out a 67-61 win over Idaho State. Montana State's 4th straight win helped avenge a 79-60 loss to ISU in Pocatello. The victory also helped boost MSU to a 13-2 record in league play and 20-6 overall. The rest of the D1 teams from Montana went down. In Ogden Saturday night, the Grizz men's basketball team got blasted, allowing Weber State to shoot 60% from the floor en route to a 92-72 loss. UM has dropped 3 in a row and sit at 8-7 in league play and 14-14 overall. In Pocatello, Idaho State is red hot after racing past the Montana State men. Gus Etchen went nuclear. The former NAIA transfer poured in 36 points and dished 8 assists to lead Idaho State to a 91-77 win over the Bobcats. Montana State's 2 losses this past weekend dropped MSU to 9-6 in league. In Missoula, the Lady Grizz have lost 6 in a row after an 86-79 loss to Weber State. Montana sits at 4-11 in league, entering the final 3 games of the regular season.
It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
Welcome back. 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. It was a big weekend for high school sports because it was the all-class state wrestling tournament, which is one of the most well-attended and highly visible events of any sort, really, in Montana. They host it in Billings every year at the Metra, and I mean, you're talking thousands and thousands of people go to this thing. So pretty cool, and pretty cool for the athletes that embark on it. I must say, we don't probably talk wrestling enough around here. And that's for no other reason than, I mean, I think wrestling is sweet. I think just in terms of the athletes that engage in it and the discipline that it takes, the toughness that it takes, it's just one of those sports where, like, there's just several sports that highlighting the best of the best does make good talk radio. It's just a little bit more of a challenge to make talk radio around it otherwise. But we've tracked this all year, and some storylines that had been building came to fruition at the Metra. So we will have some follow-up coverage for some of these state champions here in the next couple of days, including from the Billings West Bears. Billings West Bears had quite literally a perfect season, and it was led by Michael Aguayo. Michael Aguayo helped first of all, he became the 43rd four-time state champion in state history. He also helped Billings West win their 4th straight Class AA state title, and they did it in dominant fashion. Aguayo, he capped a 16-0 high school state tournament record in his career with his win in his championship match, and that helped cap 237 points for Billings West. They were 30 points better than Bozeman Gallatin. They had 13 state placers. Head coach Jerry Hernandez said, "It's awesome. It feels great. It's all the hard work that these kids do. I mean, I say it every year. I'm just the guy in the corner yelling. It's not me bleeding and sweating and cutting weight and putting all the time in. All the credit goes to these kids because they're the ones doing all the hard work." West finished the year 24-0 in duels. They won every single tournament that they competed in this season, including the Mining City Duel, the CMR Holiday Classic, the Tom LaProwse Invite, the Cowboy, the AA duels, the Eastern AA, and the one they've been shooting for all year, the State AA. Aguayo, he put a cherry on top of his outstanding career, 47-0 for his senior season, 22 by pin. He pinned Gallatin's John Jackson in 3 minutes to capture his 4th straight state title. Pretty cool scene. And, I mean, it's just so impressive to win 4 straight state titles. I mean, first of all, to win a state championship in anything when you're a freshman is a rare occurrence. But then as you go through high school wrestling, a lot of times the guys that that are the 4-timers, they break through early and they're in one of the really low weight classes. They're really light. But then they gain weight as they get older, obviously. And jumping weight classes like that in itself is a huge challenge. And, I mean, you get up into that 130 to 160 pounds, like, you are in such competitive brackets. That's so many different wrestlers that are in those divisions, and so the competition is just at an all-time high. So congratulations to Aguayo, and we'll certainly effort Billings West sometime here later on this week. In Class A, Aaron Schmitz from Sydney, he didn't know he needed to do it, but he did it. Sydney was leading going into the final day of the state championship, but they needed Schmitz to get an 18-3 technical fall over Laurel's Luke Knob. That helped give the Sydney Eagles 234 points, which helped them topple Laurel. Laurel had won the state championship 2 times in a row, but Sydney back on top. That Sydney dynasty under Guy Melby is one of the great dynasties in all of high school sports in Montana. That's the 14th state championship for the Sydney Eagles at the Class A level. Class BC, another dynasty. That's the theme here. Huntley Project, they won their 5th straight Class B title. They also set the Class BC classification record with 286 points. They had 6 overall state championships. So, state champions, I should say, individual state champions. So pretty darn cool. Prep Extra, probably presented by Vertical Raise, the elite online fundraising platform. You want the biggest check for your high school sports organization? Visit verticalraise406.com. Couple other notes from the high school ranks. First of all, wanted to say this yesterday, or last week, I should say, but I wanted the young lady to make the announcement herself. You know, as a journalist, as a reporter, I have no problem getting scoops or talking about that kind of stuff, except for when it's a kid's commitment to a school. I think that's their moment. So a lot of times you hear through the grapevine where maybe a young person is committing to go to college. And if I know before they put it out, I generally try to not talk about that or post about that. Because, again, I want them to have the moment of like, when they want to announce to the world. Well, I heard about this early last week because I know she let the 2 schools in Montana know that she was not going there to where to either Montana or Montana State. But she made the announcement this morning. Spencer Laird, who's one of the best players in the state of Montana, 6'3" power forward. She announced earlier today, or maybe it was yesterday, but over the weekend, that she's going to Stanford. Yes, that Stanford. So that's pretty darn impressive. Laird is currently averaging almost 30 points, 8.1 rebounds, and 4.6 steals per contest. She's shooting 72% from the floor as she plays at Missoula Loyola. She's following the footsteps of former Missoula Big Sky star Jocelyn Tinkle, who went on to play for the Stanford Cardinal and went to the Final Four 3 times in 4 years between 2009 and 2013. Tinkle then, of course, had a stint in the WNBA and then played overseas. She was on a national championship team and 3 different Final Four teams there at Stanford. So it'll be interesting to see how Spencer Laird settles in. I mean, I think Laird is an awesome player. She has appeared on this show both as a guest, but also we've highlighted her exploits, it seems like, weekly. I mean, she's, you know, she scores 25, 26, 28, 30, 32. I mean, every weekend. The jump, though, from Class B to the Pac-10, Pac-12, whatever the heck. I guess Stanford's in the ACC now. I'm never going to get that right. How is Stanford in the ACC? That's just mind-bending. But either way, it's going to be a big jump, certainly. But like I always say, and I know maybe I'm old school in this, or maybe I'm just a person that loves education more than most. But if you are going to go play college sports and you have the opportunity to play college sports at Stanford, I don't care where else you get recruited to. You go to Stanford. If you can get into Stanford and get an athletic scholarship to Stanford, but you are also academically qualified to go to Stanford, you go to Stanford. That's what you do. It's just going to set you up for the rest of your life. And there's great educations you can get all over the place. I mean, and in state you can get great educations. But if you can go to Stanford, you go to Stanford. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Take you home on the other side. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. 102.9 ESPN Radio.
At Big Sky Smiles and Sedation, dental implants just got smarter. With Yomi robotic-guided implant technology, your doctor plans and places implants with incredible precision for a safer, more comfortable experience and faster healing. Restore your smile and your confidence with robotic-assisted dental implants at Big Sky Smiles and Sedation. Call Big Sky Smiles and Sedation today at 406-542-6222 or visit BigSkySmilesandSedation.com to see if Yomi dental implants are right for you.
Missoula Fight fans, get ready. Fusion Fight League returns to the Adams Center March 7th. 15 fights, 5 title fights, and a bare-knuckle feature fight. In the heavyweight main event, Holston's Braden Peterson throws down with Mount Vernon's Juan Figueroa in a clash for the pro heavyweight ranks. Doors open at 5, prelims at 6, and the main card starts at 7. Don't miss the action, Missoula. Reserve your seats now at GrizzTix.com. This event made possible by Stokes and Montana Moon Rockets.
Hi, I'm Brody Miller, real estate loan officer with Stockman Bank in Missoula. Having the right team guiding your path to homeownership is important. Experience the power of local banking where decisions are made right here in Montana. At Stockman, we deliver quick turnaround, professional service, building relationships one loan at a time. Stop in, give us a call, or apply online. Experience Montana's brand of banking. We're here to guide you home. Stockman Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Buying a car shouldn't be an adventure, and at Missoula Chevrolet, it's not. Their team isn't paid on commission, so there's no pressure. Just honest help finding the right vehicle for you. You'll get real cash value for your trade, and the price you see, that's the price you pay. No back and forth, no guessing, no trail of fine print, just one low price, plain and simple always. So if you're ready for a smoother ride, on or off the road, head to Missoula Chevrolet and shop hundreds of vehicles in stock. Together, let's drive.
The wait is over. Grizzly Disposal is now offering no-sort recycling. No more sorting and dragging it across town. They'll get it right from your house. Cans, cardboard, and plastic all in one bin. Handled by Grizzly Disposal. Visit GrizzlyDisposal.com to add on recycling to your plan or to switch over to Grizzly Disposal today. Give them a call, 541-7171. That's 541-7171. The best trash removal service in town just got better. Grizzly Disposal, the only bears that should be in your garbage.
Hey, it's Colter Nuanez from your favorite daily sports talk show, Nuanez Now, and I want to buy you a meal on your birthday at Paradise Falls. If it's your birthday, head on over to Paradise Falls at 3621 Brook Street, and I will buy you a birthday entree. All you have to do is go into the family-friendly Missoula favorite, present your ID, and the entree is on me. Birthday meals courtesy of Nuanez Now at Paradise Falls, a family-friendly restaurant serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If it's your birthday, head over to Paradise Falls, Missoula's coolest hotspot.
This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
Okay, so I'm really contemplating. Is it worth buying a ticket to a concert for one song? I don't know. I'm really contemplating hard. Christopher Cross on the way back here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Cross, first of all, the Christopher Cross album that came out in 1980 was an utter cultural phenomenon. It did the rare the rare feat of winning, of basically sweeping the Grammys, right? The Big Four is what they call it. Record of the Year, Album of the Year, Song of the Year, Best New Artist. It was such a huge phenomenon, and it sort of like invented the concept of yacht rock. Like Steely Dan was already going on, but nobody had started making fun of Steely Dan yet. The Doobie Brothers were the Doobie Brothers, but nobody had started making fun of them yet either. But then Michael McDonald sang backup on that song that we just played, and all of a sudden, like, that music went to the stratosphere, and then all of a sudden they became like a parody of themselves. Then Christopher Cross basically became like resoundingly hated, and everybody was just making fun of him. Not necessarily for that song, but more for like Sailing and some of the other like soft, it's elevator music, right? It's just egregious 80s pop music. That's all to say, that song's fire. And I'm just wondering if I should go. And if you're into all that sort of stuff, God bless you and good for you. And I just am into that song. But Christopher Cross is coming to Missoula on Saturday, June 13th. So if you're so inclined to go, you certainly should. But I'm just trying to figure out like what is it worth going to an evening of adult contemporary music just to hear Ride Like the Wind? I don't know. We'll see. Could be pretty fun, though. Appreciate you for hanging out with us. We're going to do a whole prep extravaganza tomorrow during the first hour of the show. Also, all of a sudden, don't look now, but it is Big Sky Indoor Track and Field Championships this upcoming weekend in Pocatello, Idaho. So we'll have some coverage for that. We heard from Doug Fraley, the head coach of the Montana Track and Field program last week. We'll have some MSU coverage for you this week. Cats have a couple of the favorites in the shot put, respectively. The men's and women's shot putters have the top marks in the conference. So we'll have some preview stuff for that. We'll keep on covering hoops. We're going to dive a little bit more into high school hoops as well, and whatever else we can get together. One thing worth noting, the U.S. gold medal winning hockey team did have a Montanan on it, Jake Sanderson. We've talked about that a couple times, but he's from Whitefish, so that's pretty cool to have a Montanan be a part of that magical moment. So we'll certainly continue to effort Jake Sanderson as well, and whatever else we can come up with. We'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio.